Hey guys, I'm Alexander, and today we'll be talking about 1 week in the future, Previs design futuring for HCI research. For decades, science fiction films have depicted technologies long before their existence in our world. Even though these futures can sometimes exaggerate concerns about emerging technologies, they often generate meaningful discussions amongst their viewers. Companies have borrowed from these techniques to envision distant product roadmaps and communicate company values through concept videos like this. In Apple's 1980s Knowledge Navigator concept, we see a virtual assistant appear on a tablet-like device, years before the era of Siri and iPads. More recently, Meta has released similar concept videos, which envision the day-to-day lives of people living in an interconnected metaverse world. Now, examples like these have ultimately led some researchers and creatives to adopt design futuring in their own practices. For example, in this 1 week design fiction workshop, 30 students produced lo-fi concepts of impossible technologies to spark speculative design discussions. More recently, these researchers created comic books to explore how fictional superpowers can provide inspiration for new visualization systems. Pushing the fidelity of these concepts even further, this IKEA catalog from the near future depicts future societal values through alluring marketing images and product descriptions. While a lot of the time design fictions are comprised of static imagery, other multimedia formats have been explored too. In this short-form film, themes of algorithmic prediction errors and data persistence are conveyed as the main characters interact through an abstracted sheet of glass. Researchers have also begun incorporating higher fidelity concept videos into their work. In this hi-fi concept with video effects, a drone projects interactive user interfaces upon various surfaces. By 2019, this concept was even turned into reality, which is kind of amazing. Meanwhile, with the support of design tools like Blender, content creators on TikTok and Instagram have also begun to showcase short concepts of their own. When pushed even further, like in this Kickstarter-funded film, Hyperreality, intricate video effects can ultimately captivate audiences as they envision future worlds with stunning fidelity. As we've seen, across these design fiction and prototyping techniques, there's a spectrum of formats and concept fidelities. While we found there were many examples of hi-fi and lo-fi prototypes, examples that strike a balance between these two ends of the spectrum were much more limited. To address this gap, we set out to create a design futuring method that fulfills three main goals. First, we want to maximize the fidelity of the concepts we created to encourage world building and highlight interactions. At the same time, we felt it was important to minimize the researchers' time commitment to prevent significant disruptions to their practice. Finally, we ultimately set out to produce concepts that could facilitate meaningful discussions and speculative debates about envisioned future research. To develop our approach, we drew inspiration from the film production process itself. At the start of producing an animation, rough storyboards and character sketches are used to quickly convey and iterate upon high-level concepts. After storyboarding, character models and major assets are laid out in a 3D scene. This quickly gives a sense of the sizing and juxtaposition of elements. In the pre-visualization layout phase, the scene begins to come to life as simple textures and the poses of characters are set into motion. Then, for the final shot, mesh details, simulated fur, and lighting effects are added to create impressive visuals that we're accustomed to in feature films. While each stage of this iterative process provides valuable insights and discussions, many details about the concept are figured out long before reaching the final step. For this reason, we decided to adopt a previs futuring approach. While previs renders exclude detailed lighting, textures, and character movements, they go beyond lo-fi sketchy storyboards that can overlook design details that only arise in a 3D scene. We also decided to limit our concept videos to a 15-second social media video format to share with others. And then finally, our approach assumes a researcher-designer team of two. Over the course of production, the researcher is encouraged to share their expertise as the designer materializes these ideas. The resulting schedule we followed looked like this. On the first day of the sprint, the team met to sketch ideas for a 15-second concept video depicting the future of the researcher's topic of choice. After the meeting, the designer transformed the concept into storyboards and then presented them to the researcher on day 2. After selecting and iterating on a storyboard concept, the designer then took 2.5 days to produce a rough Previs concept video that followed the storyboard. On the final day of the sprint, the concept was presented to the researcher, and the team discussed the overall futuring process while suggesting final changes to make. After these changes were made, the final render was created and then shared to social media with a relevant post title and hashtags. To put our method to the test, I performed 8 design futuring sprints with 8 HCI researchers last summer. Here's a sneak peek of the depictions we created. Now, if you'd like to view the full concept videos, you can check them out on Instagram and our TikTok accounts as well. After the sprints, we collaboratively wrote summaries of our experiences, then clustered these experiences into several overarching themes. While we won't have time to get into all these themes in our presentation, we'll highlight a few that we found particularly interesting. Repeatedly, we found that envisioning our future selves helped generate ideas that felt more credible and evoked empathy for the characters in the scenes. This took place during our co-designed senior care concept, when we tried to predict our own personal retirement preferences based on the things we value today. The availability of appropriate existing 3D models on sites like Sketchfab also heavily influenced the design of the animated scenes. While sometimes this led to new and exciting design directions, other times the assets felt a little bit out of place. In Tim's cooking example, the kitchen appears somewhat dated when compared to the robotic technology depicted in the scene. Throughout the sprints, I also found that all the researchers connected the future concepts back to challenges and opportunities in their current research. For example, when iterating on the heavy haptic concept with Marcus, we found ourselves discussing the technologies required to implement such a system, and also thought about who might have access to it. With all these reflections in mind, we wanted to enable other researchers and designers to experience the same excitement of design futuring sprints that we performed last summer. And so we created a 1 Week in the Future workbook, which is freely available on GitHub. To develop the workbook, we first revisited the design notes and assets we collected throughout the sprints. From these, we then identified moments where our free-form discussions led to debates about future societies, the exploration of envisioned technologies, and promoted rapid ideation. These moments were then transformed into structured Canvas activities based loosely around our existing week-long sprint schedule. Thank you very much for listening to our talk. Please do check out our workbook and our TikTok page, and we hope to see you 1 week in the future.